recording. Here it goes. It's now announcing I have a new computer.
Continue. Don't leave the meeting. That would not be nice to do right now.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this season finale of the She is Hope LA 12-week curriculum. Julieanne O'Connor is our final speaker wrapping up this session. We'll begin again in August. We're going to do it every August and March. I wanted to just tell you a little about this amazing woman. She is fantastic. She's an award-winning author, actor, TEDx and NSA speaker, strategist, foster mom, wife, mother, philanthropist, and a supporter of She is Hope LA. And she's a regular speaker for us, and we're just so thankful for her. So today she's going to talk about stepping out of secrecy. So I'm excited to hear your presentation.
Thank you. Well, take the word presentation lightly. Okay. Let's make it a conversation. So as some of you know, I'm in Las Vegas, and I flew in late last night and was rushing to get, to my hotel and thinking I would go to bed early. And then I ended up having this incredible conversation with the Uber driver, which led to him like getting out of the Uber and like just coming around and like telling me his story and about his family life. And we were just chatting. And then after that, I think I was so touched by this person opening up, and sharing some of his story that then I went in and I couldn't sleep. And so I went, and of course you're at the hotel, I'm at Paris Hotel. And so I'm like, okay, well, this is perfect because it's whatever, 11 o'clock at night and I can go get dinner, right? Which is not normal. So I went down and I found a restaurant, and it was fine dining, white tablecloth, and they make the like pasta fresh, and like they bring and do stuff at the table, Anyway, so it was this really long dinner, like when it takes forever. And by the time I went to bed, I was like, I should just stay up, and it's so easy to stay up in Vegas on whatever they put in the air, that oxygen they're pumping in. But anyway, at the end of all of that, I did sleep for a couple of hours, and then I had to get up really early this morning. And again, I was like, okay, it's 4:30 a.m. and I'm going to go and find coffee. I know I can find coffee, And so I went down, the coffee shops open, the restaurants are open. I'm like, this is so surreal because it's been so long, and last night it was packed, like you couldn't walk. And this morning when I came out at 4:30 in the morning, it was still pretty packed. That was like, oh my God, we have so much pent up energy, right? From this last year. And we just want to connect, and we want to be out, and we want to see faces. And here, in LA, we're still wearing masks, right? But here, nobody's wearing masks. And I remember I jumped in the Uber and I was like, so what's your mask policy? Because he didn't have one on, but the Uber app says have it on, And he's like, oh, you can do whatever you want here. And so I'm like, oh, okay, well, then I'm going to take my mask off, Well, which is symbolic, right? For the conversation today is, this idea of taking off the mask and this idea of loving yourself out of secrecy. And, I think the reason this topic is so personal to me is that I feel like, and I bet you guys would agree that there's been, COVID is just a micro, piece version of what our lives look like, I feel like. And, we all go through these issues within our personal lives, our journey with our, whether we've gone through a divorce, whether we've had issues with our children, whether we've had jobs where we've put up with stuff we shouldn't put up with, and all of that. And I feel like COVID this last year was an opportunity for people to start to ground themselves and drop back in. And it's interesting because as we look at the anxieties and stuff that come up around that, a lot of it is coming up now around the idea of returning to work, right? And so now you're seeing stuff pop up in the news right now where people are doing crazy things. And I think we'll probably see a little bit more of that before this world becomes more enlightened. But meanwhile, there's an opportunity for us as this intimate group of individuals who keep coming back together to just take whatever we can get out of this conversation, right? To be able to start to say, hey, it's okay to be totally imperfect and come back out of whatever we've been hiding from for so many years. It's not just COVID, it's everything. COVID just gives this way of looking at things differently, where we start to analyze what's important, what matters to us. And I feel like it was kind of this gift to give the world permission to do that. And that then turns back to all of us to say, oh, okay, so now we can start to look at everything a little differently. And let's not
Your books.
What's that? Let's not shrink back into that box that we were living in before, because we were all living in it. I don't care how much one person, it looks like the perception is that they were doing these incredible things in the world, or, whether or not we were hiding already because we had issues. Everybody was hiding before COVID. Like, everybody was doing it. And, I had this experience the other day. It was so, oh my gosh, fascinating is my new word. Okay. For everything shitty. It's so fascinating, isn't it? And so I had this experience where, and I'm going to share this, and I won't say names, but I was asked to come into a corporate meeting with a group of people, and they had gone to the high up echelons of this very, very, very wealthy organization. And they wanted to spend some time to, I'm trying to be so careful how I say this. I'm like, could this ever get out and somebody know what I'm talking about? But let me just put it this way. They spent about an hour going off about how somebody was offended about, an image that was in a presentation, not one that I had given, but somebody I'm associated with, that had something that made them look very happy and very wealthy. And they went on and on and on about how somebody was offended. This is not about, flaunting, blah, 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 blah. And they spent an hour talking about how it went to the top of the food chain and this, that, the other thing. And all these people complained. And, all these people didn't complain. Maybe one person complained. And it was probably one of them, honestly. And it reminded me about corporate America and how there are cultures in corporate America, and then there are cultures within our society where people literally are trying to justify their existence. And they will take and grab a hold of anything that they can make an issue, right? So that they can feel important. It's this absolute insane, incredible holding on to the need for significance. And, we're driven by these fundamental human needs. There's the need for significance. There's the need for certainty, the need for uncertainty. There's the need, for love, of course. And there's the need for growth, and there's the need for giving back, generosity. And when we can live our lives where our top two needs are growth and giving, and you guys may have heard me say this before. I don't know if I shared this in a prior talk, but if you can start to shift your life to living in a space of giving and growth, and get out of that desire for the need for significance, which is the absolute, epitome of an unhappy life, then you actually, everything's popping up on my phone. Then it changes the way everything unfolds for you. And so I share that because, there are all of these things, all this stuff is going on. And I was thinking to myself, listening to this conversation with these high up echelon people and watching this person who had this slide in his presentation, skirt around and be like, it's no problem. We can take it out. It's no big deal. But then have to kiss their ass. Okay. Quite frankly, because there's a lot of money at stake. And I literally almost had to hang up technical problems, because I can't even hang anymore. If people are playing these secret games of what is important, it's all to justify something that's not real. And so I just feel like as we as we emerge back in, the more into this world, the more we can live into our authentic, like, livelihoods, like I know that word is overused, but the more we can be real. I was talking to this woman in this facility where I'm at. It's absolutely stunning, beautiful facility that they, gave me this gorgeous, huge, massive conference room to come dial in with you guys. And I'm standing there and I'm in my shoes that I was wearing earlier that I'd been, running through the casino floor this morning in and everything. And my feet were starting to hurt. And she's just talking about something. And all of a sudden I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to open my suitcase and change into my Birkenstocks. You don't mind, do you? She's like, oh no, you do that, honey. Just like put those shoes on, And I was like, I just can't fake it anymore, right? At this place where, if COVID didn't teach us one thing, it should be that at least it taught us that, like, man, we are all human. We could all perish. We could all, be angry, or we could all come together and be who we truly are meant to be. And when we can be truly who we're meant to be, then what we're going to do is we're going to go out there into the world, and we're going to inspire other people, and we're going to help, the children who are growing up in this insane time, our own children who've already been through insane stuff. And I think also with this particular group, because we all have a story, and some of you ladies have been through things that I can't even fathom. Like, I literally can't even fathom. And I feel like the gift is in the fact that you have lived through it. It's not always that you have to share the story, but I think there's a gift in the story. And if you can share the story, it inspires and helps other people to go, oh my God, I'm not alone. And there's truth in all of this. And it's not good. It's not bad. It just is. And it's what has made us who we are, right? Not to be, cliche about that, but it's like, it's this place where we can begin to show up and not have to hide behind the embarrassment, I guess is the word. And I think when you can not hide behind your embarrassment, right, then what it does is actually relieve stress. It's actually a way to increase. Now my alarm is going off again. I must be boring. And that's my alarm that's shut up. No, stop. No. But I think it increases our sensitivity to just connect the fundamentals of connection. So are you guys okay with, like, just opening this up to a conversation for a minute, and us all being, like, vulnerable with where we're at and just sharing? Is that Tisha? I know this is not like the formal process, but
it's totally, I'm fine with it. And I can stop recording too if we want to do that. It's not a big deal. If everyone wants to pitch in, I think that's great. And I agree with you. I think sharing the story is so important. And I just saw what a few of you are writing, because it relieves the stress and the tension, because I deal with that all the time. And it's like, I'll get these calls from people and they're kind of quiet because or I'll call them back and they're surprised to hear from me. And then I have to share my story, and then they're relaxed because they're like, oh, I'm not alone. You know what I mean? And then they're able to just vent. And it's just so important. I think that's what friendships are all about, is being able to vent and release and trust, you know what I mean? And you never know what's going to come out of that too, So
I mean, I think we literally, if you really look at this, I mean, what's happening right now in our world is that we're coming out of a year, or over a year, as we all know, of literally just striving for safety. Like, that is the bottom rung of existence. That is like Tarzan Day rung of living. I mean, like in my Tarzan Day way. I don't even know. Like, I gotta, like, fine tune if I ever do a presentation like this. Okay. but the truth is, like, that has your psychological well-being is not even addressed until you're safe. Like, and some of you guys know what I'm talking about. And I certainly do. And, it's interesting, during COVID, I also had coaches, and they walked me through letting go some junk that I didn't even know I had carried with me, stuff from, an experience with, a terrible experience with a man that attacked me, and to things that I did when I was a kid where I listened to somebody and I knocked myself out, like, and it's so fascinating. But when you start to get rid of some of that junk and you come out of safety, now you get to start to look at your psychological well-being. And not everyone's not everyone's doing great. But I think this group, because we have community, is probably doing pretty great. But I'd love to hear from you guys and hear what you guys are up to and how you're feeling.
You got it. And I'll go ahead and I'll pause the recording.